Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is HeroQuest, and this is Green Stuff World's pre-painted ruined fantasy dungeon walls. Kind of a mouthful. This is the UPC if you need. This is from Green Stuff World, known for, well, quite a bit of other stuff. And this was kindly provided to me directly from the store in Spain, so thank you so much to Green Stuff World for sending me this wonderful gift. In case there are currently or in the future different editions of this wall set, these are the 16 corner walls. They stand at various lengths and widths. Before I tear this open, I just want to note that it's 2 sheets of MDF, right? Yes. Pre-painted laser-cut MDF wooden walls designed for tabletop board games, RPGs, and dungeon crawlers. Perfect for 2.5 centimeters / 1 inch grid systems like HeroQuest. Its interlocking connectors create a stable structure with countless layout combinations. We're going to look at this right on the board. It's going to get the treatment. Laser-cut MDF. So, pre-painted, although that's kind of a misnomer. It's not painted, it's printed. It says pre-painted in many places, but it is a printing. Make no mistake. This has a manufacturing smell. It's quite strong, at least in the beginning. It also appears I may have, I don't know if we did to call this a defect. Looks like it's just caused by the laser doing some kind of calibration across the slag. I don't know. Interesting. It doesn't really affect me any. The walls are fine. As a matter of fact, they're not like discolored or anything. And even if they were, it wouldn't take away from the purpose of the product. So these punch out and they are extremely thick. This is not cardboard. This is MDF. This is an engineered wood. It's a fiber board. I don't want to make any assumptions, but I'm pretty sure it's stronger than the stuff IKEA furniture is made out of. It's going to take a little bit more effort to push these tiles out in order to get them free from their slag trappings. Oh my god, yeah, and after a while, that starts to stab the old fingies. We could do a little bit of board flexing to maybe loosen them up. That's only going to tear the board itself. Don't worry, not going to hurt the tiles any. I don't think anything will ever hurt these tiles, ever. I think you could probably use them as weapons if you needed to. Well, I got to thinking, yeah, this is supposed to be, for use with probably HeroQuest is your prime example, right? But what if we looked at these walls in a couple of other settings? And I can throw down the HeroQuest board, of course. It's always nearby. Okay, so a little bit of a tip here because of the way these are manufactured currently as of the time of this video. This is how the Game Crafter used to manufacture a lot of their stuff, and you will get that burnt sort of residue, that smell, and the bit of powder is normal. But you can spend a couple of minutes wiping the boards down with a dry cloth, and that will get rid of some of it, but regardless, you're going to need to wipe down your pieces and your hands afterwards. The Game Crafter moved on to different manufacturing techniques that do not require this step. But this is not the Game Crafter. I only bring up the Game Crafter because the manufacturing reminds me of it, and because this used to happen with the Game Crafter whenever they would print tiles. They're laser cut. Okay, so this is put together and it is not coming apart, and if it ever does snap apart, like break, you will probably be able to glue it more. You'd be more likely to be able to glue it back together than you would any cardboard or tile. We didn't cut everything out of that first sheet because that was just going to be too much. The columns do not fit quite as snug. Actually, I think I damaged the columns when I flexed that material. So don't actually do that. Don't do what I did. Do as I say, not as I do. See, the practice does work. For the rest of these, there's no particular rhyme or reason. There's no specific way that you have to put them together for them to work. It's not going to be mandatory to fit side A with side A2 or anything like that. I'm going to go ahead and punch out a couple of the cool ones here. They're all pretty cool. I'm not going to lie. We got some cool stuff going on here. We've got a skeleton hanging from wall. We've got sewer grate. We've got lit torch. I like this one in particular. We've got lots of chains. There's another skull with a candle in an opening in the dungeon wall. I don't know what that's called. I don't know what those are for. Probably they're for light, for skull candles.
That is called a torch recess.
And we fit these together just any old way, any way that we want. We create these 90-degree corners. That's what these are for. That's it. You're basically done. You've got your dungeon wall dressing. Okay, so we'll take a closer look. We'll go flying through this dungeon. This is, I know a lot of people have probably already asked already by now. Get ready to delete your comments. No, I'm just kidding. The engagement's important. If you've successfully guessed what these underneath dungeon tiles are from, then you get a cookie. You can claim your cookie in the comments below. There we go. Got the engagement back. This is Dungeon Saga Origins. Uses the same tile standard as HeroQuest. In fact, there's a lot of HeroQuest DNA in the game, so it does stand to reason. What? Do I have my first one? That's not really... Well, there we go. That's fine. It's all good. Pros of using stuff like this, they are very immersive. They're going to provide your board with some 3D real estate. If it doesn't already have 3D real estate at all in any way, these might be a little bit opposite of immersive. I know people go gaga over dungeon walls. I do think there is a right way and a wrong way to approach the dungeon walls. And the higher you go, generally, I think that this turns more people off because it can become difficult to see the details on the board. Not the graphical details, although that too to some extent, but the actual miniatures, furniture, and tiles that you may be using with your selected game. So a lot of folks have shared with me that about an inch is too much, and these are over an inch. These are, we got 2 inches high, which of course the back of the box probably told me that. No variation in height across the assets. I think that it would be a great move to make them 1 inch high if you were going to be using these scattered, like I think they are intended to be used here, just for little bits and pieces of flavor throughout your dungeon. If you're building a system that is intended to be used totally, like you put down walls for every single room and you cover every single room. And again, I think this depends on the game you're playing, but if you're playing one of these dungeon crawler board games with the 1 inch standard tile system, then these can get in the way very, very quickly. And I think no more than a 1/2 inch. I mean, 3/4 of an inch would be pushing it. Do a 1/2 inch, call it good. You'll save on manufacturing. You'll make your players happy, those few players who actually want the walls. Do I want the walls? I haven't wanted walls necessarily. I think everybody's curious about the walls, and then once you do the walls, your curiosity is sated, and then you don't do them again, or you start looking for alternatives. This is the extent of what I'm going to do with the walls here. I do have many more to punch out in the 2 sheets. Both sheets have still got plenty of wall left. I should say plenty of wall and column left, but this is all I'm going to do for this example because these aren't intended to cover your entire board. And if one room has got a bunch of walls fully enclosing it, but all of the other ones don't throughout the board, that can be a little visually disconcerting. But let's fly down here and take a look. So yeah, these visually design-wise, they go really, really well with the board. It's just that, oh, what's that? There was a skeleton there the whole time. Now you're going to die. You weren't planning for there to be a monster behind this column. And you might have noticed when I put him on the board, but you forgot he was there as you did your pre-turn board scan to figure out what actions were available to you. That's just me kind of whinging about the tile size, the wall size yet again. I don't mean to do that, but I do want to drive the point home why walls that are too tall can be kind of a pain. Now, these say HeroQuest right on the box, so I think that I should probably give these a fair test by using them with HeroQuest, but I did want to explore their compatibility with other dungeon crawlers. Uh-oh, you didn't see that skeleton, did ya? Yeah, what about this one? Could there be a goblin hiding behind this wall? It's empty. Never mind. Now, I've done a lot of complaining. I've done some observations, and I've done what could be construed as complaining. They were complaints, but I should double down for those that observe in past videos. The rule of cool does apply here. Rule of cool means, man, that looks really awesome. Never mind it slightly getting in the way sometimes or being a minor inconvenience. It looks so nice. And Green Stuff World has nailed it with this product. In fact, I gotta show you something that's completely irrelevant. It's not really related to the product at all. This was the box that this stuff shipped in. This is the coolest box I think I've ever gotten. Green Stuff World knows how to print a robot frog climbing up a tube on a box. This is just about poster worthy if it hadn't gotten so dang dirty on the way here. Give them mad props for their box design. It's coming from Spain, so shipping is not necessarily going to be cheap if you're living on my side of the pond here in the US, but shipping it in a cool box may offset some of that ambivalence. All right, let's see if they'll work with League of Dungeoneers. They will actually kind of work with League of Dungeoneers. I mean, you have these gigantic walls. Got some Attack on Titan energy here. Check out Maladoom. Okay, so they will work perfectly with Maladoom. In fact, they'll be the sturdiest pieces of scenery you have with Battle Systems Maladoom. Maladoom is very much a please enclose the entire room situation. Like, it takes the board design to the extreme, but these actually work so well on the Maladoom board. And the height's not really going to be an issue if you're used to playing Maladoom, because there are so many pieces in this game that are much taller. Like I said, the entire world is basically built. So for Maladoom, 10 out of 10. Green Stuff World and Maladoom, that is quite the collaboration, would be. All right, I don't have my minis out for AltarQuest, but I do have my neoprene mat for AltarQuest. So let's see what this looks like using the neoprene mat for AltarQuest. Columns in spaces that can support them without them being like in the way, like that's perfect right here in the center of this corridor room. Awesome. I wonder if I'm going to get any like really serious comments where people are like, obviously it wasn't going to work with League of Dungeoneers world map. That world map is a 1/4 inch grid hex standard. I give him an A+ for AltarQuest. I think that this use case is fantastic for AltarQuest, even though it is subject to the same, oh, there's a goblin hiding behind the wall. And I'm going to have the exact same complaint when I get it on the HeroQuest board, but the reason that I think it's passable for AltarQuest is because most of AltarQuest is just insanely huge rooms all put together. I mean, they are so big, it would be very difficult to really lose something. Not trying to misrepresent what it is, it's not billed as a skirmisher, but the size of the rooms gives you the room to skirmish, if you know what I mean. In HeroQuest, some of the corridors, well, almost all the corridors, and most of the rooms can be kind of cramped after you get everything put out. It's not a complaint. It's just how it is. It's an observation. All right, so we're now going to get out one of my HeroQuest neoprene mats. I know people are going to ask. This was printed at Inked Gaming. I don't know if they still do mats this size. This is a 36 by 36, I think. Or it's a 30 by 30. I can't remember. I could measure it, but I already have a video out there on that stuff somewhere. Just diligently look and you'll find it, maybe. This one's based on Rise of the Dread Moon, I think, but it's Ian Schofield's beautiful dungeon mats, and then you get it printed through a print service like Inked Gaming. I don't know if they still do them this big, though. If you're going to use a mat like this, where you have the walls taking up an inch, and you can convert your HeroQuest board to this standard, it's fine. It's really only going to make the top and bottom corridors another tile wide, which is not going to be a problem for most people, and it's really not going to affect any of the quests that you have to build. You will have an anomaly somewhere, though, due to the way the rooms are laid out and how they can't really take an inch and still not change. So you're going to have an anomaly. You get to choose where that anomaly is going to be. If you're designing a board like this, Ian Schofield placed the anomaly here and made this section of corridor slightly wider so that this quadrant could maintain its integrity. All the quadrants have maintained their integrity. The center room is the same size as it always was, but this had to happen for that to happen. If not, and he brought this whole thing in, then we would have our bottom corridor be 3 tiles wide, the top corridor would be 2 tiles wide, which is fine in most cases. It just means now the bottom corridor is the anomaly, but the second anomaly would be the corridor in the northwest quadrant. That would be another tile too wide, maybe for some. Who can really say? But this is going to work perfectly for a board like this. They're not going to encroach out onto the board. They're actually going to stay nice and within their boundaries, and you can kind of bring a little bit of dimensionality to your dungeons. Kind of nice. It's kind of nice. Does it fit the theme of this board? No, but there are other boards like the Broadsword and still others that look really nice that I think would fit this sort of design convention perfectly. I'll tell you what I would like to see from Green Stuff World. I might go and see if they already have this, because it's possible they might. I would like to see this exact same set of walls, half walls, columns, all that, but I would like to see them at the 60 degree instead of the 90, so that you can place them on hex fields, hex grids. Okay, so your walls are going to stay very closely within the white line here. I'd say they are pretty much designed for that. You're not going to feel any of the encroachment that I sometimes talk about. In placing your walls, I would try to not place them across each other in a corridor. You'll feel the encroachment. You'll feel the miniatures struggling to move without moving other pieces of the board. This makes the game feel fiddly. It takes people out of immersion. It does for me anyway. I would not like to see that in my games. So place them sparingly, place them around rooms, and maybe like 1 per room is what I would do, no matter what the room is. If you are Zargon and you're sitting on this side of the board, don't be afraid to make that one space something that's going to more hinder your access, because you're here for the players. You're here to make their experience better, but it exists at all, really. So you come into this room and you place this one down, and then you have a hero open this door. If the door is here, I would not place the next one here, because that's visually, that's weird. I would put it here. I would even put it here, maybe, if the flow of the room is to exit out this door. You could also put it here if you're exiting through this door. I think that would be pretty cool. But then if you're placing one wall per room, now this room is going to have 2 walls. So that might be a little weird. Just try to place them maybe on the outer edge where they won't be across another wall, across the corridor, and you don't have 2 walls to a room. And I think that the design will look very striking. I think it will look very, very good. Just my opinion on the matter. Combine these with some League of Dungeoneers double wide doors, or don't. They're kind of prohibitively difficult to get. And some of your AltarQuest minis, and
You have quite the dungeon set up, ready to go, waiting to happen. That's kind of how I would use these. I would place them down just one per room with your furniture. I wouldn't try to be exhaustive. I wouldn't try to surround a room with any sort of wall. Just place them down just like this. 1 wall section per room.
a shorter standard would work really well, even better in this situation. The tall walls
Work to their credit because
the other 3D elements of HeroQuest are also about this size, if not a little taller in many cases, but that stuff is furniture, not walls. And as we know in real life, furniture is always taller than walls. Gotta wonder who gets some of these jokes. Sometimes I say something that I think is so blatantly sarcastic and obviously a joke, and I'll get a comment that's like, not so much, Ash. I'm like, okay, whoosh, it's fine. Rule of cool, as far as that goes, 10 out of 10. The thickness, they're very sturdy. These materials are fantastic. The images printed on them is beautiful. They're beautiful. That's also a 10 out of 10. The height's the only thing that's really going to be the deciding factor for most people, and also it is a bit of an inconvenience to have this soot. Soot is the word I was looking for. In my mind, I went from ash to char. Soot. My wife's name is kind of Char, if you think about it. I should have named our son Soot. The Ashy family. Da-da-da-da. That's about it for this one. Thank you so much, Green Stuff World, for sending me this wall pack. Thank you all for your kind attention. Please comment what you like down below. What would you like to see different? Are you instantly sold on these? Are they just so cool that you gotta have them? They'll be linked in the description below. I don't have any sort of discount or anything for you. No affiliate program or anything like that. Unless I'm wrong, I'll check again. Don't remember. I don't think I did. If I did, I'll call myself out down there. You guys have fun, and I'll see you in the next exciting adventure. So until then, I bid you all a fantastic rest of your day. Farewell, brave heroes. Bye for now.